Elon Musk just reiterated that Tesla stock will basically 6.5x from where it is today. I stand by my prediction that if Tesla executes extremely well over the next 5 years, that the long-term value could exceed Apple and Aramco combined. Elon continues, as I say though, exceptional execution is needed for this. It will not happen by itself. But who executes better than Elon Musk in the long term? No one. So to some extent, exceptional execution is expected from Elon Musk. That's sort of the default, which is why my whole stock portfolio remains fully invested in Tesla stock only, among many other reasons. And when it comes to predictions, Elon Musk actually has a fairly good track record. Now, I know many people like to make fun of Elon about full self-driving predictions. I think on these, he's just late. He's not wrong. But this one, he was totally right about. If you missed Tesla earnings, the highlight was Elon Musk sharing in the call that he thinks Tesla's Model Y will become the top-selling vehicle of any kind in 2022 or 2023. He said, seems likely that based on revenue, it would happen in 2022 and possibly total units in 2023, which has happened. And here's another one for you back from 2017. He predicted that Tesla would have a higher market cap than Apple. At the time, Apple had a market cap of $776 billion and Tesla only a market cap of $51 billion, which basically already happened. So I have high confidence in Elon that he is going to be right because he was right before. And when it comes to execution, Elon Musk has the best track record. Elon Musk calls out Ross Gerber. Ross Gerber manages well over $1 billion for all of his clients. Elon says he is utterly wrong. According to Ross, less and less people are buying Tesla cars because of Elon's behavior. Secretly, I think Elon wishes that Ross learns how to grow food himself. Rumor has it that Tesla is receiving close to 10,000 Cybertruck orders per day since the delivery event, which would be a huge deal if true, but is it really true? Annualized, it would equal 3.6 million Cybertrucks per year. This seems a bit too high for me at this very moment. Tesla hasn't really done anything, and I don't know, this number is a bit sus. Because there are already 2 million pre-orders, so you'd have to wait for a long time to get your Cybertruck, and the pricing is also quite high at the moment. I expect the pricing to actually come down. The source is Supercar Blondie website. There's this article that says 2 Tesla employees have revealed the number of new Cybertruck orders, and supposedly it's 10,000 per day since the delivery event. And here's the original source. It's from Matthew. Now, Matthew has been a pretty good source before. Not everything was exactly correct from him, but a few things were. Okay, now the actual source is not linked, so I need to dig and find exactly where he said that. Okay, and my intuition was right, but it's still actually pretty good. So Matthew said that he has updated his tweet and it looks like it's closer to 10,000 per week. But think about it, 10,000 per week is incredibly impressive. That's about 500,000 per year. Now, of course, you would naturally expect the order number to be higher in the beginning, but I think there is a big caveat here, and that is, if you place an order, you have to wait for the Cybertruck forever. So do you really want to place an order now? Some people do, but certainly not everyone. And on top of that, not only do you need to wait forever, you are gonna pay a hefty premium for that privilege of waiting forever. So once prices come down and wait times are no longer measured in years, then I think the order volume will naturally also increase. So even though it's 10,000 per week in the beginning after the delivery event, I think it will probably stay there for a little while and later it will go back up after probably falling maybe in the next few months as some excitement wears off. But then so many people in the streets will start seeing a Cybertruck and will go, what is that? I want one. So despite the actual number probably being 7 times less than the original rumor, it's still fairly bullish. It's just that the original rumor was so crazy bullish. Tesla bulls naughty once. Matthew ad. I like Matthew, by the way, but that rumor got disproven really quickly. Seems like quite a few people thought the rumor was true. I like being bullish, but when I see that something is, I don't know, a bit off, I don't rush to jump on it too much. I was thinking about adding that rumor into yesterday's video, but then I was like, I don't know about it. With the stock market year now being over, we can look at the returns, and Tesla stock in 2023 returned 102%. That's crazy. Now, 2022 was not a good year, not at all. But interestingly, if you look at every single year from 2011, we only had 2 years when Tesla stock went down. 2016, only 11% down, and then 2022. But if you look at Tesla's history, it is quite volatile. But as long as you dollar cost average, historically speaking, you're good. Looking at this, the most dangerous thing is to generally be out of Tesla stock, because if in 2019 you were out because you thought Tesla stock was gonna go down even lower, then you missed out on huge gains. And for those that thought that recession was coming a year ago, and therefore these people did not own Tesla stock because they thought it was gonna go down even lower, well, for these people, I pray for them that their mental health did not bring them to a new all-time low. For example, S&P 500, which is what I would own if I did not own Tesla stock, went up 24% in a single year. My investment philosophy is to stay in the market, even if I think that there is going to be a crash. If you look at all of these hedge funds and everyone else, like Ray Dalio, they can sort of anticipate that there's going to be a crash coming and they can reduce the risk, but then they get back in way too slowly and they miss out on huge gains, which is exactly what just happened to many investors in the last 12 months. And if you want to take a bit more risk, you can own NASDAQ 100, which is basically the biggest 100 companies in the US, excluding financial companies, but it is mostly tech companies, so that's why it's more risky, even though the companies are bigger. This one returned 53% in the last 12 months. And by the way, a big shout out to Gary Black. He beat S&P 500 in the last 12 months. His fund did 40%, so that's pretty good. But NDX did a bit better. And Meet Kevin actually did even better than Gary Black, 48%, but still a bit below NDX. If the only stock in your stock portfolio is Tesla stock, just like it is in my case, we can all celebrate beating all of these fund managers. But a big shout out goes to Cathie Wood. She actually beat the market this year, 67%. That's pretty nice. The company compiled consensus is now out, and we can see the actual consensus for Q4 delivery numbers, and it is 480,000, which is 4,500 more basically than what is needed for Tesla to reach its stated goal of 1.8 million deliveries. So as far as short-term expectations go, as long as we reach 1.8 million deliveries, I will be pretty happy. And even if we are below that, I don't really mind it because it's probably not going to be much lower than that. But this might be the first quarter when production exceeds 500,000. It's not exactly very likely, but it's certainly possible. And if you have been following Tesla for a while, you'll remember the times when analysts said that 500,000 in a whole year is basically impossible for Tesla to do. And now Tesla is close to 500,000 per quarter. Amazing. The delivery numbers will come out probably at 9 a.m. Eastern time on January 2nd. I did a Patreon video showing what you can look at to see whether it's probably going to be a beat or not a few hours before Tesla actually publishes the final numbers. So the market is going to be closed anyway. But you can see for fun, basically, if you want to check it out on my Patreon. This quarter, we will again have record global deliveries and production. Record Model Y sales in China, which are up by 20%, but the weakest Model Y sales in Europe in the last 5 quarters, as well as flat total sales in the US and EU. To some degree, that's a guess from Troy because we don't have final numbers for December yet from Europe, but they will start trickling in very soon. And here are Model Y numbers specifically for Europe. We would need a pretty big number to have a Model Y record in Europe. But you look at Model 3 sales for Q4, we don't have one whole month, and despite that, it's already this year's best quarter for the Model 3 in Europe. This just goes to show you how much people love the refresh Model 3 despite the price actually being higher. Tesla is sending out a new email. This time Tesla is promoting safety. And yesterday I did complain about autopilot a little bit, but I have to say that Tesla's collision warning system is very, very, very good. Sawyer made a list of things that the general population know very little, next to nothing about when it comes to Tesla. It includes the point that Tesla insurance exists. You know, every time when Tesla delivers a vehicle, there should be a sticker on the steering wheel with a little sentence that says, Tesla insurance, it exists. Although Sawyer might have meant people that do not have a Tesla but are thinking of buying Teslas, and therefore they are not fully taking into account that they are actually going to save even more money owning a Tesla because Tesla's insurance is probably cheaper. But it's not available everywhere where I live. You cannot get Tesla's insurance because there's only one insurance company that you can basically work with. Troy thinks that for next year, only 2 million and 2.1 million are realistic options for Tesla for his deliveries next year. He doesn't think 2.2 million is possible considering Tesla is demand limited for all models in all regions except for the Cybertruck in the US, which is production limited. My guess is that Tesla is more likely to optimize for volume growth at the expense of earnings for the simple reason that this is what Tesla has been doing. But Troy's calculation does not include a possibility that Tesla may start advertising very seriously and that the advertising campaign could be wildly successful. Although pretty much the Cybertruck is an advertising campaign in itself for Tesla because once people start seeing Cybertrucks everywhere, yeah, many of them will want to not just buy a Cybertruck, but maybe a Tesla vehicle. But let's keep in mind that Troy has been very good with predictions that are relatively short term, so 12 months or less. So I think we should seriously consider his opinion here. But if Tesla brings innovative advertising campaigns, then Troy will need to throw out his whole model. Eventually, there is a good chance I will become a SpaceX investor, so I'm highly interested in everything SpaceX related. And Ron Barron, the billionaire who made so much money from Tesla stock, he thinks the returns from SpaceX are going to be even higher than from Tesla going forward. There was just an important test completed. Elon Musk has just completed static fire test of Flight 3 Super Heavy booster. This is actually a pretty big deal, despite the last time the booster having all of the engines sinking on the way uphill. It did not happen during the static fire, so it's a pretty important moment. Elon's other companies are also likely to do fairly well, the Boring Company included. I am surprised. How come no one has figured out a way to invest in all of Elon's companies and just put like a fund together or something like that? I was looking at investing into SpaceX, and one of the conditions that they have is that the company that's investing into SpaceX, or this fund that invests into SpaceX, it cannot be created just for the sole purpose of investing into SpaceX. Is that the regulation that's holding everyone back? So if you try to create a fund that only invests in Elon's companies, it cannot invest in Elon's companies because that's the only purpose of the fund? But I think you should be able to get around that by investing a little bit into other companies. So why isn't there a fund that invests into mostly Elon's companies? There's definitely a lot of money to be made doing that. So how come no one's doing it? I would like to invest in such a fund, but if there's no such fund, then I would need to create a fund like that myself, which I really don't want to do. So please, anyone with a financial background, if you can put together a fund like that, you can count on me as an investor. Someone really called this chart how Lucid Group makes its money. More like, here's how Lucid Group loses its money. And Alexandra posted a comparison between BYD and Tesla. And you can see that there's more green in the image about Tesla than in this image about BYD. And generally, green is good. But BYD is a pretty strong company. I think they are going to do fairly well, but not as well as Tesla. If you like funny videos, make sure to subscribe to the new channel, Wow with Matt. I will be uploading a new video later today, actually. It's gonna be pretty good. I laugh so many times filming some of these videos.